Chosen one, pay close attention. You did not just click this video randomly. Your spirit demanded an emergency extraction from the noise. Heaven has orchestrated a pause in the usual chaos of your timeline, drawing you to this exact moment. Right now, you feel a dull, constant pressure at your temples. You sit in your car or stare at your phone, dreading the moment you have to step back into your daily routine. You are mentally paralyzed by a thick fog, and deep down, a terrifying thought keeps whispering. I used to be so sharp. I used to be so connected to God. What happened to me? That brain fog is not a sign of your weakness. It is a biological and spiritual jamming signal. The enemy has not tried to destroy you with grand tragedies. He has simply weaponized your distractions to deafen your frequency. But this is a divine interception. God has silenced the spiritual realm to pull you into a private room because he needs to recalibrate your mind. Do not physically react, but in your mind right now, mentally lock the doors to the outside world. Silently grant yourself permission to drop the heavy armor you have been wearing all day. Shift your internal dial to receive, because the noise stops here, and the blueprint to restore your original genius is about to be downloaded. If your spirit confirms this truth, silently anchor your intention and comment, "I am listening," to signal your readiness to heaven. I need you to stay with me until the very final second of this message. Do not let the enemy distract you and make you click away, because by the end of this transmission, I am going to expose the exact biological weapon the Matrix is using to keep your mind trapped in survival mode. I will give you the complete 3-room protocol to instantly cut the spiritual static, and I will reveal a specific, scientifically backed frequency shortcut that ancient prophets used to hear God clearly. A method that bypasses years of struggle and restores your divine connection in just minutes a day. This is the missing piece you have been begging for. Stay anchored. There is a reason why God chose this exact moment of your absolute exhaustion to call you. You have been running on spiritual fumes for months. You fix everyone else's problems. You are the pillar. You are the counselor. You are the one everyone calls when their world is falling apart. But late at night, when the house is finally quiet and the glowing screen of your phone goes dark, a raw, unfiltered thought echoes in your chest. Who is going to save me? Your throat tightens. Your breathing becomes shallow. You try to pray, but your mind feels like a radio tuned to a dead station, catching nothing but static, anxiety, and the mental checklist of tomorrow's obligations. You feel disconnected. You wonder if God has gone silent, or worse, if he has moved on from you. Let me assure you, he has not moved on. He is waiting for you to change the channel. Look at the ancient text in 1 Kings chapter 19. The prophet Elijah was in the exact same state of mental and physical burnout that you are experiencing right now. He was running for his life, completely isolated, exhausted to the point where he sat under a broom tree and actually asked God to take his life. He was experiencing the ultimate spiritual brain fog. When God finally revealed himself to Elijah on the mountain, the text tells us, "A great and powerful wind tore the mountains apart, but the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind, there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire." Why did God show Elijah all that noise and chaos? Because God was demonstrating the frequency of the world. Wind, earthquakes, and fire represent panic, survival, and stress. In modern terms, that is the constant pinging of your phone, the financial anxiety, the relationship drama, the endless demands on your time. That is the noise the enemy uses to keep your brain trapped in a state of high alert. But after the fire, the scripture says, there came a still, small voice, a gentle whisper. And that was where God was. Most people read that story and think it just means God speaks quietly. But if you look at the deeper context, it reveals a profound biological and spiritual truth. God could not speak to Elijah's spirit while Elijah's brain was operating in the chaotic frequency of the earthquake and the fire. God had to pull Elijah into absolute isolation, into a private cave, to shift his internal frequency so he could hear the gentle whisper. You are experiencing the exact same phenomenon. The reason you cannot hear your own intuition anymore, the reason your divine connection feels severed, is because your mind is being forced to live in the earthquake and the fire of modern society. You are being bombarded by a jamming signal designed to keep you stressed, overwhelmed, and spiritually deaf. The Matrix does not need to ruin your life to stop your destiny. It just needs to keep you busy. It just needs to keep your mind cluttered with artificial urgencies so that you never have the mental bandwidth to hear the still, small voice of your Creator. But today, right now, the frequency is shifting. Heaven is establishing a secure line. God is calling you out of the earthquake and into the cave. He wants a private moment with you. He is pulling you away from the crowds, away from the expectations of your family, away from the demands of your career, because what he needs to transmit to you cannot be heard over the noise of your daily life. This is an emergency extraction. You are being invited into a secret room in the spirit, a place where the fog lifts, a place where the heavy, invisible static in your mind is completely muted. But before you can step into that sacred space, you must understand exactly what invisible weapon the enemy has used to steal your frequency all these years. You think you are just stressed? No, you are under a calculated biological assault. The assault is not what you think. It is not a shadow standing in the corner of your room. It is a frequency. For years, the systems of this world have intentionally forced your brain into a state of chronic panic that neuroscientists call the beta wave. The beta frequency is the frequency of pure survival. It is the state of high alert, of stress, of analyzing, of processing endless, overwhelming information. Every notification on your phone, every unexpected bill that arrives, every toxic conversation you are forced to navigate. Every piece of fear-mongering news is a calculated strike designed to lock your brain into that beta frequency. Think about how your body feels on a daily basis. The constant buzzing urge to check your screen. The inexplicable guilt that washes over you the second you sit down to just rest. That is not your personality. That is the Matrix programming your nervous system to stay in survival mode. Why? Because the enemy knows a profound biological truth. You absolutely cannot hear the voice of the Creator while your brain is trapped in survival mode. The beta wave is the earthquake and the fire. It is loud, it is exhausting, and it completely jams the signal of your spiritual intuition. That invisible weapon I told you about, it is the forced, chronic beta state of modern society. They do not have to stop you from fulfilling your destiny. They do not need to destroy your life. They just have to keep your brain so overwhelmed with daily survival that you never tune into the frequency of your calling. And here is where the ultimate deception comes in. When you first realized you were disconnected, when you felt that heavy brain fog settling over your vision and your prayers felt like they were bouncing off the ceiling, what did the world tell you to do? What did the religious systems, the self-help gurus, and even well-meaning friends whisper in your ear? Think about the direct advice you have been given. They looked at your exhaustion and said, "You are not praying hard enough." They pointed their fingers and told you, if you had more faith, you would not feel this way. You need to wake up at 4 in the morning and meditate for 3 hours. You must fight the flesh. You are distracted because you love the world too much. You need more discipline. You need to fast longer. You need to push through the pain. So you listened. You are a chosen one. You are a warrior at heart. So you strapped on your heavy armor and you tried to force your way back into divine alignment. You sacrificed your much-needed sleep. You forced yourself to read when your eyes were heavy and burning. You agonized over your lack of focus, begging God to fix you, repenting with tears for a lack of discipline that was never actually your fault. You truly thought your spiritual dryness was a test of your willpower. You believed the lie that your exhaustion was a sign of your unworthiness. You thought that if you just pushed a little harder, if you just punished your physical body a little more, the heavens would finally crack open and the clarity would return. But I need you to listen to me very carefully right now. In your mind, at this exact second, I want you to completely release that heavy, suffocating burden of guilt you have been carrying about your spiritual performance. Let it go. Because everything they told you was a lie. The entire narrative of forcing your spiritual breakthrough through sheer willpower is a trap. It did not work, did it? In fact, the harder you tried to force your mind to be quiet, the louder the anxiety became. The more you tried to rigorously schedule your spiritual breakthroughs, the thicker the brain fog grew. You ended up more drained, more isolated, and more utterly confused than when you started. Why? Because of your biology. Because when you stress about not hearing God, when you force yourself to wake up exhausted and perform a spiritual routine out of obligation, fear, and guilt, your brain produces cortisol. Your brain stays violently locked in that exact same beta wave frequency. You were trying to use the frequency of stress to achieve the frequency of peace. It is biologically and spiritually impossible. You cannot unlock the gates of heaven using the tools of the matrix. The enemy tricked you into burning out your own nervous system in the name of spiritual discipline. Your problem has never been a lack of faith. Your problem has never been a lack of dedication. You have been loyal in the dark. You have held on to the promise when anyone else would have walked away. You do not need more discipline. You do not need to try harder. The severe disconnect you feel is a technology issue. It is a frequency issue. So if sheer willpower cannot break the jamming signal, if forcing yourself to pray harder only creates more beta waves and more static in your mind, how do you escape? How do you bypass the survival mode of the matrix and tune back into the divine frequency without completely burning yourself out? There is an ancient biological secret that bypasses the forced effort of the mind entirely. A secret that the modern systems intentionally hid from you to keep you trapped in the noise. A secret that, for thousands of years, only the most elite mystics and prophets understood. But they did not have the scientific words for it back then. They only knew the practice. It was not until very recently that scientists at NASA accidentally rediscovered exactly how this ancient frequency works in the human brain. The NASA researchers were not looking for spiritual frequencies. They were conducting a study on the creative genius of children. What they discovered shocked the scientific community, but it perfectly explains the spiritual starvation you have been feeling. They found that 98% of children naturally operate in a brainwave state called theta. Theta is the frequency of pure intuition. It is the frequency where profound insights simply appear out of nowhere. It is the exact brainwave state where the veil between the physical world and the spiritual realm is the thinnest. When you are in theta, you do not have to force yourself to hear the voice of the Creator. The connection is wide open. It is effortless. But the researchers found something terrifying. By the time those same children grew into adults, only 2% of them could still access that theta frequency. The matrix had done its job. Years of sitting under fluorescent lights in classrooms, stressing over exams, absorbing negative news, and panicking over bills physically shrank the neural pathways required to access the theta wave. Your brain was biologically forced into the beta survival state. Your God frequency went dormant. This is exactly why God is calling you out of the noise right now. He chose this specific moment of your absolute exhaustion because you have finally realized that your own strength is not enough. Your beta waves have burned you out, and heaven is stepping in to restore your original, dormant genius. The ancient prophets understood this frequency shift, even without the science. When Moses needed the blueprint for a nation, he did not sit in the middle of a busy camp and try to focus. He climbed a desolate mountain. When Jesus needed to hear the Father before a major miracle, he withdrew to the wilderness. They instinctively knew they had to escape the survival frequency of the world to tune their minds back into the theta frequency of heaven. They achieved this through 40 days of extreme fasting, isolation, and physical deprivation to force their brains out of the beta state. But you live in the modern world. You cannot abandon your family, your job, and your responsibilities to live in a cave for a month. And the beautiful truth is, you do not have to. Because built upon that initial NASA research, neuroscientists have developed a specific sound technology. A precise audio frequency designed to do exactly what days of isolation in the desert did for the prophets. It is a biological shortcut to bypass the matrix. It is called the genius wave. This is not a guided meditation where someone tells you to force your mind to be blank. It is not a religious exercise that requires intense willpower. It is simply a 7-minute sound frequency. Using advanced brainwave entrainment, this audio gently guides your nervous system out of the chaotic beta state and directly stimulates your dormant theta pathways. It is the technological key to the spiritual lock you have been trying to force open for years. This is how you effortlessly bypass the survival mode. You do not fight the noise. You simply put on your headphones, listen to the frequency, and let the sound technology retune your brain back to its divine default setting. It is a 7-minute daily ritual of total restoration. But to access this, you must physically prepare the environment. You must create the private moment God is asking for. To do this, I am giving you the exact implementation framework. I call it the 3-room protocol. Listen to the words of Christ in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 6. He said, "But when you pray, go into your room, close the door and pray to your Father who is unseen." The English translation uses the word room, but the original Greek word written there is tamion. Tamion does not just mean a bedroom or a closet. In the ancient world, a tamion was the secret inner chamber of a house. It was the heavily guarded storehouse where a family kept their most valuable treasures and their emergency provisions. Jesus was not just telling you to find a quiet corner. He was commanding you to enter your secret treasure room, your highly protected, sovereign space where the matrix cannot touch you. Here is how you build your tamion today, using the 3-room protocol. First, you establish the physical room. You must choose a specific physical location where no one is allowed to need you for 7 minutes. It might be the driver's seat of your parked car before you walk into the house. It might be a locked bathroom. It might be a chair in the corner of your basement. Right now, without moving your body, I want you to mentally scan your environment. Pick that specific physical location in your mind. Mentally claim it as your sovereign territory. That is your physical boundary. Second, you establish the digital room. The moment you step into your physical location, your phone goes on airplane mode. No notifications, no text messages, no emails. You are severing the digital umbilical cord that keeps you tied to the matrix. Third, you establish the mental room. This is the most crucial step. When you sit down in that quiet space, do not start reciting a list of demands to God. Do not try to aggressively cast out your anxiety. Do not try to perform. Simply put your headphones on, press play on the 7-minute genius wave frequency, and surrender. Let the sound technology wash over your tired brain. Let the theta waves begin to gently dismantle the thick fog in your mind. You think that the moment you set up this 3-room protocol and put on your headphones, everything will be peaceful? No. The moment the silence begins, a hidden corner of your soul will scream. The moment the silence begins, a hidden corner of your soul will scream, I need to prepare you for exactly what is going to happen in the first 60 seconds of your physical and digital isolation. When you step into your physical room, when your phone is finally placed on airplane mode and goes completely dark, when there is absolutely no one asking you for a favor, your body is going to react violently. You will feel a sudden, sharp spike in your heart rate. Your breathing will become shallow, trapped at the very top of your throat. Your hands will feel strangely empty and restless, and a tight, incredibly uncomfortable knot will form in the center of your chest. The silence will not feel peaceful at first. It will feel heavy, oppressive. Your mind will desperately try to throw 100 urgent, fabricated thoughts at you. Did I lock the front door? Did I reply to that important email from yesterday? What if a family member needs me right now, and they cannot reach me? Listen to me. This is not a spiritual attack from a demon. This is somatic panic. This is your physical nervous system going through acute dopamine withdrawal. Your brain has been held hostage by the matrix for so long, force-fed a constant, daily diet of artificial emergencies and high-stress beta waves, that absolute peace actually feels like a physical threat to your survival. Your biology is throwing a tantrum because it simply does not know how to exist without the chaos. It feels like you are losing control. But, as a spiritual guide, I must tell you the truth. There is a deeper, much darker layer to this panic, a shadow that you do not want to look at, a reality you have hidden even from yourself. If you are completely honest right now, the withdrawal from your screen is only half of the terror. The real reason your chest tightens in the deafening silence is because the noise has secretly become your favorite hiding place. As long as you are busy, as long as you are constantly distracted by everyone else's drama, the endless scroll of the world, and the exhaustion of daily survival, you have the perfect, socially acceptable excuse for not stepping into your divine calling. When you strip away all the distractions, when the door is locked and it is just you and the raw, naked frequency of the Creator, you are forced to face the most terrifying questions of your entire existence. In your mind, right now, I want you to acknowledge this hidden fear. Do not run from it. Do not try to pray it away. Let it surface in your imagination. Face the thought that whispers to you in the dark. What if God actually speaks to me clearly today, and I am terrified of what He asks me to do? What if the download I receive tells me to walk away from a relationship I am desperately clinging to? What if He commands me to build something massive, and I utterly fail in front of everyone? Or worse, what if I realize that I truly am as powerful as I always suspected I was, and I have absolutely no more excuses to play small? You are not afraid of failing, chosen one. You are terrified of your own greatness. You are terrified of the sheer magnitude of the mantle you were born to carry. You are scared of the responsibility that comes with being fully awake in a world that is fast asleep. When you access the theta frequency, the comforting illusions dissolve. The excuses vanish into thin air. The matrix can no longer protect you from your own massive destiny. And that sudden realization feels like stepping off a cliff in the dark. It feels like a death. Because it is a death. It is the death of your small, manageable, powerless identity. But hear my voice right now, and let this truth sink deep into your spirit. This fear you are feeling, this somatic panic, this desire to run away from the quiet, is not proof that you are weak. It is the ultimate readiness indicator. Fools and the arrogant are never afraid of the divine presence. Only those who truly understand the massive, world-shifting weight of the calling tremble before it. The fact that your soul is intimidated by the silence proves that you comprehend exactly how much power is waiting for you in that room. You are not an imposter. You are not broken. You are just finally waking up to the reality of who you are. This is exactly why the 7-minute audio ritual is so vital. You cannot fight this level of biological and spiritual panic using your own willpower. If you just sit in a silent room trying to force yourself not to be afraid, trying to wrestle your mind into submission, the beta waves will overwhelm you. The anxiety will win, and you will pick your phone back up within 3 minutes just to numb the discomfort. But when you press play on the sound technology, you do not have to fight. The audio frequency does the heavy lifting for you. As the panic tries to pull your heart rate up, the specific acoustic patterns of the theta wave begin to act like a heavy, comforting blanket over your entire nervous system. You will literally feel the shift happen. The tight muscles in your neck and jaw will begin to soften without you even trying. You will feel the breath drop from your shallow upper chest down deep into your stomach. The sound frequency intercepts the panic. It catches your racing mind and gently escorts your brain down into the safe, deep, quiet waters of divine connection. It washes away the fear of your own calling. You do not have to be perfectly brave to start this. You just have to be willing to listen inwardly. Right now, make a silent agreement with yourself. Command your spirit to stop running from the quiet. Allow the shadow to be exposed so it can be healed. The scream you hear in the silence is just the fear of your own power, and that fear is proof you are ready. But do not just take my word for it. Let me tell you exactly what happened to those who dared to step through that fear and turn this frequency on. Let me tell you about a chosen one who was exactly where you are right now. 8 months ago, he was drowning in a level of debt that made it hard for him to even draw a full breath. He sat at his kitchen table at 2 in the morning. His knuckles were white as he held a stack of final notice letters. His vision was literally blurring from the stress. The brain fog was so thick he could not remember simple conversations he had earlier that day. He was operating in pure, sustained beta wave survival mode. He had tried praying, he had tried fasting, he had tried working 80-hour weeks until his body was giving out. Nothing worked. The noise was too loud. Then, he stopped fighting the matrix on its own terms. He implemented the 3-room protocol. He locked his bedroom door, put his phone on airplane mode, and put his headphones on. The first 3 days, he said his heart pounded out of his chest because the silence terrified him. His mind screamed at him that he was wasting precious time, that he should be out hustling, not sitting still listening to a 7-minute audio track. But he held the line. He let the genius wave frequency wash over his exhausted nervous system. On day 14, the physical reality shifted. He was sitting in that exact same quiet room, the theta waves guiding his brain into deep alignment, when a single, incredibly clear idea flashed into his mind. It was not a chaotic, frantic thought. It was calm. It was precise. He said it felt less like an idea he created and more like a memory of the future that was just downloaded directly into his spirit. He opened his eyes, wrote the idea down, and executed it the next morning. Within 3 months, that single divine download generated enough revenue to wipe out his entire debt. The heavy chains fell off. That is what happens when you remove the static and allow the Creator to speak to you on the correct frequency. Or consider another chosen one, a woman who was caught in a deeply toxic, manipulative relationship that was draining every ounce of her spiritual authority. She was sitting in her parked car late one night, staring at the glowing screen of her phone. Her thumb was hovering over the send button. She had typed out a massive, desperate apology text for an argument she did not even start. Her chest was heaving. She was terrified of being abandoned, completely trapped in the beta frequency of fear and trauma bonding. Right before she hit send, she remembered the protocol. She dropped the phone on the passenger seat. She closed her eyes, put her earbuds in, and turned on the 7-minute frequency. As the sound technology began to synchronize her brainwaves, the artificial urgency started to melt away. The frantic need to please, the terror of rejection, it all began to detach from her spirit. As her brain shifted into the theta state, the fog of emotional manipulation cleared instantly. She heard the still, small voice of the Holy Spirit with absolute, undeniable clarity. The voice did not yell. It simply said, "You are the prize, and you are entirely too expensive for this level of disrespect." She opened her eyes. The panic was gone. Her hands were completely steady. She picked up the phone, highlighted that long, desperate apology text, and deleted every single word. Then she blocked the number. She walked into her house that night with a posture she had not carried in years. She reclaimed her power because she reclaimed her frequency. This is how the physical miracles actually manifest. They do not drop out of the sky while you are running around in a panic. They are birthed in the private moments. They happen when your brain is calibrated to receive the exact instruction you need to unlock your specific situation. Right now, I want you to visualize your own situation. In your mind, see the massive obstacle you are facing. Do not tense your muscles. Just look at it with your internal eyes. See the debt. See the confusion. See the relationship issues. Now, in your imagination, watch that obstacle dissolve into thin air the moment your frequency shifts. Claim that clarity for yourself without saying a word. The breakthroughs you just heard about were not accidents. Their success did not come from a lucky break or a sudden surge of willpower. It came from fiercely protecting their frequency. It came from treating those 7 minutes of isolation as the most sacred, heavily guarded territory of their entire day. And you need to understand something very important. The enemy knows exactly how powerful you become when your mind is clear. He knows that a chosen one, operating on the God frequency, is completely unstoppable. He is terrified of you establishing this 3-room protocol. He is terrified of you listening to this sound technology. Their breakthrough did not come from luck. It came from fiercely protecting their frequency, and the enemy knows this. That is exactly why, in the next 40 days, he has prepared 5 highly sophisticated jamming tactics aimed directly at your private moments. He is going to try to pull you out of the quiet before the download completes. He is going to try to pull you out of the quiet before the download completes. In fact, over the next 40 days, as you implement this practice, the enemy has prepared 5 specific, highly sophisticated jamming tactics aimed directly at your private moments. You must recognize them immediately so they lose their power. The first tactic is the fake emergency. The very second you lock your physical door and put your phone on airplane mode, a sudden piercing thought will hit you. What if someone is in the hospital right now? What if my boss emails me and I get fired for not responding? Or someone in your house will suddenly bang on your door for something incredibly trivial that they could have easily solved themselves. The enemy will literally use the people you love as pawns to break your isolation. He will whisper in your mind, "You cannot rest right now. You are needed. If you ignore them, terrible things will happen." When this happens, I want you to perform a mental action. Do not get up. In your mind, visualize a heavy steel vault door slamming shut, locking you safely inside with God, and mentally decree, "I am not the savior of the world. I release everyone to the Creator." The second tactic is artificial sleepiness. Have you ever noticed that you can scroll on social media for 3 hours wide awake, but the moment you sit down to pray or put your headphones on to listen to your frequency, your eyes roll back in your head? Your body feels like it weighs 1,000 pounds. A massive, unnatural wave of exhaustion hits you out of nowhere. This is not natural tiredness. This is a biological defense mechanism. The Matrix has wired your nervous system to violently reject the theta state. The enemy uses this physical resistance to make you think, "I am just too tired today. I will do this tomorrow." You must push through the first 2 minutes of this artificial gravity. The third tactic is the guilt trip. As you sit in the quiet, a voice will start to accuse you. "Look at you, sitting here doing nothing while your family is struggling. You should be working. You should be hustling. You are being incredibly selfish right now." The enemy will try to disguise his voice as your own conscience. He wants you to feel guilty for receiving peace, because he knows that a stressed, burnt-out chosen one is absolutely no threat to his kingdom. The fourth tactic is the logic trap. This is the spirit of intellectual skepticism. As the audio plays, your mind will suddenly try to analyze everything. This is stupid. It is just sound waves. NASA does not care about your spiritual life. You are wasting your time with pseudoscience. The Matrix will try to attack your spiritual practice with cold, cynical logic to break your faith in the unseen and pull you back into the beta frequency of overthinking. Before I give you the final and most vicious tactic, you must understand the biblical pattern of this warfare. Look at the book of Nehemiah, chapter 6, verse 3. Nehemiah was rebuilding the ruined walls of Jerusalem. He was doing a massive divine work. His enemies, Sanballat and Tobiah, realized they could not stop him by force, so they sent him a message. They said, "Come down and meet with us in one of the villages." They wanted to distract him. They wanted to pull him out of his calling and into a meaningless conversation. But Nehemiah recognized the pattern. He sent a message back saying, "I am doing a great work, and I cannot come down. Why should the work stop while I leave it and come down to you?" This is exactly what is happening to you. Your 7 minutes in the 3-room protocol is you rebuilding the ruined walls of your spiritual frequency. The fake emergencies, the guilt trips, the sudden urge to check your phone, these are the enemies standing at the bottom of the wall yelling, "Come down and meet with us." They want to pull you back into the valley of distraction. You must adopt the posture of Nehemiah. I want you to anchor this truth right now. Go to the comments and type, "I am building my wall to declare to the spiritual realm that you will not come down to the level of their noise." Now, the fifth and most vicious tactic, the echoes of past trauma. This happens right when you successfully bypass the first 4 tactics. You are finally settling into the peace. The theta waves are beginning to activate, and suddenly, out of nowhere, a horrific memory flashes across your vision. A bitter betrayal, a humiliating failure from 5 years ago, a deep wound of rejection. The enemy throws emotional dirt into your clear water to force you to abort the session. He wants you to rip the headphones off in tears. This is exactly why you cannot do this alone. This is why you cannot rely on sheer willpower to find silence. You must use the genius wave as your audio shield. When the trauma flashes, do not try to fight the thought. Do not argue with the memory. Do not engage with the enemy at all. Just shift your entire focus to the sound playing in your ears. Let the acoustic waves act as a physical and spiritual barrier. The sound technology will hold your brain steady in the theta state, while the enemy's beta attacks simply bounce off your shield. The frequency will literally dissolve the emotional charge of the memory. These 5 tactics have now been exposed. They have lost their element of surprise, which means they have lost their power over you. But I need to ask you a serious question. Why is the enemy going to such extreme lengths to stop you from having 7 minutes of peace? He is not deploying these 5 tactics just to annoy you. He is terrified, because he knows the true nature of the private moment God is calling you into. You thought you were going into that room just to get some rest? You are entirely mistaken. You thought the Creator was pulling you into absolute isolation just to give you a break from the Matrix. You thought the 3-room protocol was simply a spiritual hospital bed where you could bandage your wounds, dry your tears, and recover from the exhaustion of being a chosen one. You thought this was about self-care. Let me shatter that illusion right now. God is not calling you into the back room to coddle you. He is calling you into the war room to commission you. This private moment is not a therapy session. It is a mantle transfer. A mantle in the spiritual realm is an invisible, heavy cloak of divine authority. It is the specific supernatural clearance you need to execute your life's exact purpose. It carries real power. It carries massive weight. And it carries the authority to dismantle the very systems that have been trying to destroy you. But a mantle of this magnitude cannot be handed to you in the middle of a crowded street. It cannot be transferred while your brain is operating in the frantic, stressed out, beta frequency of survival mode. The enemy knows this. That is exactly why he fought so desperately using those 5 jamming tactics. He does not care if you take a nap. He does not care if you take a day off. What terrifies him, what makes the kingdom of darkness violently panic, is the exact moment you figure out how to access the theta frequency and sit still long enough to receive your mantle. Because the second that mantle touches your spirit, your identity completely shifts. You stop being the victim of your circumstances, and you become the commander of your atmosphere. Listen to the ancient prophecy in the book of Isaiah, chapter 45, verse 3. The Creator speaks and says, "I will give you hidden treasures, riches stored in secret places, so that you may know that I am the Lord, the God of Israel, who summons you by name." When you read the words hidden treasures and secret places, your modern mind might naturally think of buried gold or physical bank vaults. But look at the original Hebrew context. The word for secret places is mistarim, which literally translates to a place of hiding, a place of profound, absolute obscurity, a place completely covered in shadow, far away from the noise and the light of the public crowd. God is revealing a profound spiritual law here. The most powerful blueprints, the greatest wealth-generating ideas, the exact strategies that will liberate your bloodline, they are not broadcasting on the loud public frequencies of the matrix. God hides his most valuable treasures in the quiet, obscure, private moments. He hides them in the absolute silence. When you use the audio technology to guide your brain out of the noise and into that theta state, you are actively stepping into the mistarim. You are stepping into the secret place where the treasures are stored. The insights that suddenly flash into your mind during those 7 minutes are not random, lucky thoughts. They are the riches stored in secret places. This changes everything about how you view your daily practice. When you close the door, put your phone on airplane mode, and turn on that 7-minute audio frequency, you are not just trying to relax. You are logging into a secure, encrypted divine network. The theta and gamma waves that the genius wave stimulates in your brain are not just biological states of peace. They are the transmission lines. They are the exact frequencies heaven uses to download the launch codes for your destiny. Every time you sit in that quiet space, God is handing you the precise instructions for your next move. Do you understand what this means? A raw thought should be hitting you right now. For the first time, your lifelong struggles make perfect sense. You realize why you have always felt like you were meant for something massive, yet constantly felt suppressed by invisible walls. It was never because you were unworthy. It was because you were carrying a dormant commander's frequency in a world designed for foot soldiers. You were an eagle being forced to march in the mud. But the moment those theta waves activate, the mud washes off. You remember your wings. The heavy brain fog you have been carrying was just a symptom of you living below your clearance level. In your mind, right now, I want you to experience this raw awakening. Do not move your physical body, but internally, let this realization hit you like a lightning bolt. You are not a tired servant begging for a break. You are a high-ranking spiritual commander receiving your daily briefing. I want you to mentally visualize a heavy, powerful cloak being placed squarely on your shoulders. Feel the weight of that authority settling over you. Accept it, claim it. If your spirit recognizes this truth, go to the comments and type, "I accept the mantle," to permanently register your identity shift in the physical and spiritual realms. The exhaustion you felt yesterday was the old version of you fighting a war with the wrong weapons. The clarity you are about to step into is the new version of you operating with the launch codes of heaven. You are no longer guessing. You are no longer operating in the dark. You have the protocol. You know the enemy's tactics. And you have the exact frequency key to access the secret place. But theory ends here. Everything you have heard today, the exposure of the matrix, the three-room protocol, the science of the God frequency, and the reality of the mantle transfer, all of it will just be passing sound if it is not firmly sealed into your spirit. Hearing the truth is not enough. You must activate it. It is time to cross the threshold. It is time to officially lock in this frequency and dismiss the old version of you that was held hostage by the noise. Shift your internal posture right now. Prepare your mind, because we are stepping directly into the activation. This is the final step. The theory is over. The profound knowledge you have received today will simply evaporate back into the noise of the matrix if it is not permanently anchored into your spirit right now. We are crossing the threshold. Chosen one, bring your entire awareness completely inward. You do not need to move your hands. You do not need to change your physical posture. Simply draw your focus away from the external world and center it entirely on the sound of my voice. Let these words become the architecture of your new mind. The frequency in your environment is changing at this very second. The heavy, frantic static of the world is being pushed out of your space. Father, creator of the universe, architect of the human mind and source of all pure frequencies, I establish this exact moment in time as an impenetrable divine boundary. I draw a line in the spirit around this chosen one. I declare that the space they are occupying right now is a secure, encrypted channel of heaven. The noise of the world has absolutely no authority here. The endless demands of the matrix have no jurisdiction here. Lord, you see the one listening to this message. You have watched them wage a silent, exhausting war inside their own mind for years. You saw the mornings they woke up already drained, carrying a thick, heavy fog behind their eyes that no amount of sleep could ever cure. You heard the silent screams in the parked car when the pressure of being the strong one, the one everyone relies on, became too much to bear. You saw them punishing themselves, believing they were failing you, believing their spiritual dryness was a lack of faith, when all along they were simply drowning in the artificial beta waves of a broken system. You have seen their deep loyalty in the dark. You have seen them hold the line even when they could not hear your voice. Today, that era of spiritual starvation officially ends. By the authority of the mantle placed upon my life, I now seal the revelations of this transmission permanently into their physical and spiritual anatomy. I seal the three-room protocol into your daily reality. I decree that you will no longer allow the world to trespass into your sacred time. I sanctify your physical room, declaring it untouchable by the chaos of your household or the demands of your career. I sanctify your digital room, declaring that you have the absolute authority to disconnect, to turn off the screens, and to silence the artificial emergencies of the matrix without a single ounce of guilt. And I sanctify your mental room. I command the chaotic, racing thoughts to bow down to the authority of the still, small voice of the Creator. I expose and permanently bind the 5 tactics of distraction that have been assigned to sabotage your peace. I cancel the fake emergencies designed to pull you away from your calling. I break the heavy, unnatural spirit of slumber that tries to steal your focus the moment you seek silence. I shatter the lying voice of guilt that tells you rest is selfish. I completely dismantle the cynical logic traps that try to talk you out of your divine connection. And I command every echo of past trauma, every bitter memory the enemy uses to distract you, to fall completely silent right now. They will no longer interrupt your download. You will stand on your wall like Nehemiah, and you will never come down to meet the enemy in the valley of noise. I seal the integration of the sound technology into your life. I decree that the genius wave frequency will become your protected sanctuary. It will not just be audio, it will be your daily entry code into the Mistarim, the secret place of the Most High. It is your shield against the beta frequency of the world. I declare a massive prophetic shift over your mind right now. The thick, suffocating fog is lifting from your brain at this very second. The jammed signals are clearing. As you step into your daily ritual, as you explore this sound technology and intentionally access the frequency of heaven every single day, I decree that the dormant genius inside of you will violently erupt. Within the next 7 days, you will experience a level of clarity that will absolutely shock you. The confusion that has paralyzed your decision-making will vanish into thin air. You will no longer beg the universe for answers. You will simply receive them. Divine blueprints for your finances, high-level strategies for your relationships, and profound, undeniable revelations for your life purpose will flow into your mind effortlessly. You will operate from a state of total rest, yet you will accomplish more in a fraction of the time because you are no longer fighting the current. You are flowing with the pure frequency of the Creator. The heavy, dented armor you have worn to survive the matrix is dissolving. You are being clothed in the mantle of a commander. But a commander must accept the commission. Heaven is waiting for your response. Will you guard this private moment? Will you fiercely protect the quiet? Will you step into the secret place and carry the massive weight of this calling? Deep inside your spirit, without speaking a single word out loud, I want you to make your decree. Let your soul shout a resounding yes to the Creator. Heaven has recorded your yes. The alignment is complete. The frequency is permanently locked. You are no longer bound by the exhausted frequency of survival. You are fully activated, fully authorized, and fully tuned to the frequency of the divine. The noise stops here. The blueprint is yours. Go now. Step into the silence. Say, Amen.